a lot of you listening have that vulnerability. So think of this always on a spectrum, and we travel the spectrum within ourselves throughout our lifespans. It's something that maybe once was so painful for you. When you heal and when you start to know that I can respond differently and I can choose differently and I can learn to really value myself more, and therefore I'm drawn to others that are healthier, that it's their delight and their joy to spend time with me and lift me up, you experience less and less emotional vulnerability and wounding.
It's with great honor that I introduce my esteemed guest, Lisa Tahir. Lisa's journey began with a desire to streamline lengthy assessment and treatment processes, which led her to explore alternative healing methods. During a pivotal meditation, she received a profound message urging her to research Chiron and expand upon the mythology of the wounded healer. With practices in both California and Louisiana, Lisa is widely recognized as one of the top therapists in New Orleans and Los Angeles. As a licensed clinical social worker, she brings a wealth of experience to her transformative work with adolescents, adults, and couples. Driven by an unwavering dedication, Lisa delved deep into the Chiron archetype, uncovering its connection to core wounds. Her journey culminated in the creation of a groundbreaking book, The Psychoastrology of Chiron, Healing Our Core Wounds Through Empathy and Self-Forgiveness. Her work empowers both individuals and practitioners to identify 12 main areas of core wounding linked to Chiron's placement in their birth chart. The Chiron effect, a term coined by Lisa, describes the magnetic pull that keeps individuals trapped in recurring challenges. Through empathy and self-forgiveness, she offers a transformative process to break free from these patterns. Lisa's approach uniquely integrates psychoastrology, psychology, spirituality, and personal responsibility. By understanding Chiron's placement in one's natal chart, readers gain deep insights into their core wounds and the potential for profound healing and transformation. Her work has earned praise from His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, who believes her book will greatly benefit readers, which is a testament to her depth and wisdom. Lisa is also the host of the highly regarded podcast, All Things Therapy, which has enlightened listeners since 2016. Lisa's therapeutic approach blends traditional and emerging modalities, including energy work, meditation, and psychology, creating personalized sessions for her clients. Without further ado, let's welcome Lisa, who's an extraordinary therapist, author, and podcast to the Transcendent Minds podcast. Lisa, welcome.
Dear Michael, thank you for that beautiful and gracious introduction. It is my honor and pleasure to be here.
You're most welcome. I'm so eager to delve into your profound insights and learn from your unique blend of psychology and energy work and spirituality and how that can unlock new pathways to healing and personal growth. Should we start with the transformative power of Chiron in personal growth?
Sure, Peter Michael. I think what's important to know about Chiron is that it's a placement in our birth chart, harking to astrology. And that was a bit surprising to me when I started to research and learn what Chiron means for us in our birth chart. As a traditional psychotherapist, astrology wasn't in my wheelhouse of technologies, of a symbolic language. And when I took some time to delve into the meaning of astrology in our lives, and it's a symbolic language that ancient people used to determine when to plant crops and how to plan intentionally the cycles of our life. And nowadays we have different technologies that we rely more upon in cell phones and computers and such. Yet the beautiful thing I realized about astrology, because I was struggling around something being told to me that because the stars and planets were in a certain formation when I was born, that in air quotes dictated a certain way my life would be, I had the download that no, that's not what it is at all. We wrote our birth chart. I wrote my birth chart before I came into my physical body, decided these are some things I think I'd like to experience on planet Earth. And the good news is that we can change and grow any experience we don't enjoy and the ones we want more of. So astrology is a blueprint that we created for ourselves to understand ourselves more deeply. When there are things we don't like, we can learn the skills, which is something my book offers you, learning the emotional skills, the mental health skills, how to set the boundaries with ourselves or with others so that we can start to orbit a different frequency, which simply is habituating different people, places, and things than where you are right now and encountering more desired outcomes.
I wanted to talk about the transformative power of Chiron because I've started researching astrology. I've always been into it ever since I was a kid. Beyond the sun signs, I'm researching and learning so much more about it. I want to be able to read charts and I want to be able to understand more about the deeper aspects of the way a person is arranged, because I think that shows us so much. And in terms of the Chiron effect, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but what I've gleaned so far is it suggests there's a profound personal transformation that can arise from our deepest wounds, because Chiron, as the wounded healer, represents the parts of ourselves that have been hurt the most, but they also hold the potential for the greatest healing and growth. I would suggest by exploring these wounds, not only can we gain insight into our personal pain, but we can also unlock our ability to heal others. So the understanding of the placement of Chiron in our natal chart can be a powerful tool in guiding us through the process of healing and self-discovery. So my question is, how does the placement of Chiron in different zodiac signs and houses uniquely influence the nature of an individual's core wounds?
Beautifully said. I think it's important to note that this theme I propose in my book of core wounding is actually on a spectrum. And for some of you that experience childhood trauma, childhood abuse, sexual abuse, witnessing domestic violence, and neglect, that you are experiencing a wounding within yourself in, say, your sense of value and worth. Chiron in the sign of Aries speaks to this core wounding in your sense of value and worth on a spectrum from core wounds when there's been major key traumas. And that extends to if you had a wonderful upbringing and you knew you were loved and you knew you were valued and you know that today as an adult, that this is like a little like an ouch might happen in your life at work, or like, ouch, that kind of stung a bit, but your sense of yourself is really intact. And it's not such a big, deep, wounding issue for you. So keep that in mind when you look up where your Chiron is based on your date of birth and place of birth, that for some of you, it's a deeper wounding in yourself. For others, it's more of an ouch kind of thing. And from knowing where Chiron is, it'll help you understand when you do feel a dip in your emotions. Again, if you're on the side of the spectrum where it's more of a vulnerability, like this is an area you feel a little vulnerable, you feel a little insecure at times, but you have more of a handle on this. And that's a good place to be. That means you haven't had to heal with some of the deeper wounding that some of us have when you've experienced abandonments, for example. Chiron in the sign of Cancer speaks to that. And that healing takes some more significant effort on your part at first to really start to know that some of the things you experienced, they weren't your fault, even if you were told that. It's really about reparenting yourself when it's these deeper wounds that you've experienced. And in my book, I offer affirmation and takeaway steps that you can begin in a practical sense applying. And I do have a chapter talking more about the big T traumas. And I really recommend utilizing a healing professional if that's been your experience, because it can help to have someone guide you on that path to healing.
In what ways can acknowledging and working through these wounds lead to transformative experiences? Are there any particular techniques or practices you may recommend for individuals looking to heal through their Chiron placement?
The paths and methods of healing are as varied as we are individually. What you'll start to notice is my book is laid out as a guide in the introductory chapters. I invite you into a feedback loop with yourself and with me. I share a bit about some of my experiences growing up with my grandparents in particular, who I felt really loved by. That's always been a template that I look back on very fondly to have experienced really healthy love. And I ask for you to reflect the times in your life, both when you felt very loved and times when you didn't, and then the meaning that you made about yourself. And to journal, to have a journal, light a candle, and spend maybe 20 minutes with my book as I walk you through a process. And the transformational piece really comes from when you start to feel like there's nothing wrong with you, that you make sense in the context of your life experiences, and to really release self judgment, shame, and criticism, and start to know that you can be yourself in this world. It might take realigning with some new people that are more gentle and kind and less critical. It might take moving yourself into a better place with others, but that starts with your beliefs and your thoughts towards and about yourself. And that's where empathy and self-forgiveness comes in, is learning that you deserve to be more easy on yourself and allow forgiveness and allow some spaciousness, like taking some deep breaths and just, oh, there's time to grow. There's time to experience the things you haven't yet that you want, and just to bring in some peace into yourself.
The other thing I was looking at in this is Chiron's role in interpersonal relationships and emotional healing. And again, please correct me if I'm off track here, but my understanding is that its influence extends beyond the individual, shaping how we interact within relationships, because our core wounds are often triggered by those closest to us. But
Right.
at the same time, these relationships offer the greatest opportunities for healing. By understanding how Chiron operates within our relationships, we can better navigate conflicts and deepen our connections and foster mutual healing. This aspect of Chiron challenges me to approach my relationships with empathy and self-awareness, as you've alluded to, turning pain into a pathway for deeper intimacy and understanding. How can understanding Chiron's placement help individuals navigate conflicts or challenges within their relationships? Are there any specific dynamics that Chiron influences in, say, romantic or familial relationships?
I think definitely in our family relationships that we can be triggered the most easily, since they're longstanding patterns of behavior and roles that each member of a family play with each other. And again, for those of you, I want to make sure and be clear that not every person has deep core wounding in them. A lot of you listening have, again, that vulnerability. So think of this always on a spectrum, and we travel the spectrum within ourselves throughout our lifespans. It's something that maybe once was so painful for you. When you heal and when you start to know that I can respond differently and I can choose differently and I can learn to really value myself more, and therefore I'm drawn to others that are healthier, that it's their delight and their joy to spend time with me and lift me up, you experience less and less emotional vulnerability and wounding. Like the sound of a stereo, it might have been loud at one point where you're experiencing relationships that were one-sided or unsatisfying. And as you learn to value and love yourself and do things that really light you up and seek out friendships with people that have done their healing, that volume turns way down, where it can even be a zero. And you're really experiencing so much more of what you want. And then you might go to the holidays with your family, and someone says something and it takes you back for a moment to that old role people would hold you in. And so you can also pause and maybe not react from that place. Maybe let it go. Let the comment sit, for example, that we don't have to engage verbally with every topic or thing that's spoken or text to us. So I really want to emphasize that you start to feel so happy in seeing that you're showing up differently for life, even with some of the same people, especially family members. We have these lifelong assignments with family members. So learning that we can engage or not, that no one else has to change for us to be happy is a key takeaway, that people can be who they are. I can also allow myself more space and time from them and let some things just sit in the text, let some things just sit in the conversation that I once reacted to and things would escalate. You start to feel like I don't even need to say anything and maintain inner peace. So I think to keep in mind the core wounding that some people might have experienced because of childhood trauma is turned down as you start to heal and nurture yourself and really take some time out to do some journaling, to meditate, to be in nature when you can, to really pause, take some more pauses throughout your day to even ask, like, how am I doing today? And say when you wake up and you might not have that time, you need to rush out the house to get to work. Be reflective as you're even in the restroom, as you're driving. Like, how am I today? Take some time, even right now, if you haven't yet, to possibly even close your eyes and just take a couple of deep centering breaths. If you can do this right now with me, just close your eyes and breathe in, breathe out the busyness that's come before this. And whatever is coming after, just let it be. And just even place a hand over your heart like I'm doing, and just breathe in well-being. Exhale expectations. Exhale concern and fear over finances, over work, over uncertainty. Breathe in a desire to align with every solution for every single thing in your life in this moment. I align myself with the solutions I seek in my physical health, in my financial health, in my relational health. And I ask to create spaciousness for play, for myself to be and allow more of what I want. I release uncertainty around how to get there, because just by saying I want to know, I want to be on the path, it allows it to emerge in our lives now. I breathe in peace and some real centered knowing, some groundedness in my connection with the universe and my connection with life and this energy of abundance, this energy of creation. I take my time right now to align with you. And I ask that you meet me right where I am. And I breathe out tension from every cell of my body. I release tension from every situation in my life. I smile in knowing that there's room for me in the world, and there are people and places and things coming my way, and I won't miss them. They are intended for me, and I delight in their becoming now. I thank life. I thank myself. I thank you. I thank everyone as my teacher and guide. And I align with more of everything good, especially in the shadow of this full moon, really allowing transformation, every experience to be my joy and delight. And I release timelines that I've created and held myself to. I release those timelines and I align with the timeline of the universe, where I never miss what is for me. I release overthinking. I release overfunctioning, and I really allow my being. I really allow my receptivity to all that's ready for me. I graciously and happily receive what is my birthright: abundance and health and joy and peace. And I look for it exactly where I am, and I allow it. I trust. And I believe in myself. And I believe in the life force of the universe, our planet, to come in and support me right now. And as I gently come back to where I am, I release the overthinking and just allow this new space to dominate my mind and my day, my evening, my dreams at night. And I allow the best unfolding of a new timeline for me right now. And whenever you're ready, gently come back to where you are and just notice what you feel in your body as a result. How does that feel for you, Peter, my? And again, gently, because I know the mind is active, really dropping into the body in peace. What do you notice there?
My feeling is stretched from the smallest cells in my body to the greatest galaxies in space. That was the feeling of it, the feeling of that healing.
Yes, I noticed that you're more in your body and less in the mind. We tend to overfunction in the area of our minds, especially those of us that are achievement oriented and about being on top of things. And it's important to give our brain and mind a break and just feel into our body what's needed. And often it's a little break, some allowance to just breathe and be. I sense that. So when I needed that, as well, starting my day here in Los Angeles and for you being in the afternoon, to really just pause and allow ourselves to align with things that we want to just come to us very easily, come to our inbox, to our phones, to our mailbox, like ease and flow to really step into and allow.
That was so beautiful because I'm usually very active in my mind. That was a remedial balm for me.
Yes.
Allowing serotonin, that neurotransmitter of inner peace, to seep into my sinews, really.
Yes, to flow 100%.
Mm.
I'm so glad you felt that. I do too. I feel that as well. And
You-
I think it's important daily to carve a time out, be it at the start, middle, or end of your day, to just do something like that, to connect with source, to connect and align with our solutions, and to breathe and allow a resetting of our minds.
It also felt that it didn't come from you, it came through you.
Mm-hmm.
You were the agency for the amplification
Exactly.
of that particular spark that comes through, that living fire that quells and calms. And I'm trying to give it descriptive value, but that's what it felt like as I was listening to you. I can see you physically, I see you
Yeah.
there, but it's like you are the agency for whatever that higher thing is. It's like the response to a sacred covenant that gives you grant and grace to be able to provide that healing and remedial balm that if one can be in receipt of. And it really does push the reset button.
Yes. I'm the conduit, the faucet. Source is the water, the energy, the healing, and you are too. All of you, we all have this connection, and we're all channels to transmit and experience the flow of source energy through us. And that's where our answers actually arise from within this quieted space. That's where the ideas come and the inclination then to take an action in your life, to send an email or go to Google and search something that leads you to exactly what you've been looking for, to allow the flow of this intelligence and every day intentionally align. I say that I align my mind with you, Source, with you, Infinite Intelligence. I'm your conduit to express through. So do today. Show me. We can ask to be shown and guided and take it right to what it is you seek and desire.
It's like being lifted out of the dark into the light. Because I feel when I'm active in my mind, there can be many things going on. The darkness seems to absorb the light, but it lights up that darkness. And you get lifted into the light and the language of light. It's learning from light. What does light have to show us? What does light have to teach us?
Yes.
It can only come from that space. And I recognize this about myself when I'm not in the mind. It's like the mind is not going to get me there.
Yes, exactly. You're describing it so very well. And it can help to do this when you have an area or issue that you're not sure about. In my book, when you discover your Chiron placement, there's some affirmations, which are a way to baby step our belief system into a better place, because our beliefs are the thoughts that we think about ourselves and about life repetitively. For some of us, we were told things with even the best of intentions that aren't serving us. It's still creating a limited belief system or outlook on what we want. And sometimes you might not even try for certain things because you don't believe that you could make it or do it, or the chances are so slim. I would encourage you to know that's there. You have those thoughts, but try it anyway, do it anyway. And it might be just creating more of a belief in yourself that in your trying new things, it exercises new muscles of your mind, of your behaviors. And that's when we really are growing, when we're branching out and reaching out beyond what we thought was true. We're always going to be met with a force to help us. Like, I like to imagine I'm on one side of a canyon and there's the other side of the canyon and it's like a gap, but there's actually a bridge. And I imagine just an invisible, like a clear glass bridge. I just step out and I'm caught. My feet are stabilized and held. A lot of life can be like that. You want to get somewhere, you're not sure how, but you just start taking those little steps, believing this is going to work out for me, or I want this to work out for me. So the affirmations I give to you are a way to take those steps and trust your life is going to better and better places because you believe that to be for yourself.
One of the things that pops up in my mind about Chiron, does Chiron play a role in the healing of ancestral or karmic wounds within a family lineage? And if it does, how can we as individuals work with this energy to break these negative cycles?
I think the ancestral patterns or handed down, they're really thought patterns and beliefs that are found in families based on people are experiencing. And I think even the best intending of parents to protect their children might impart some beliefs that are limiting and to try to stay safe. Oh, don't try for that, to protect the child from failing and being disappointed, or you can't do that, or we don't have that in our family. And I think it takes some courage to go beyond and know that belief system is there, but that again, we can change any belief. We can change any pattern by just doing new things for ourselves. It might be nurturing a belief, a dream that you don't talk a lot about until there's actually some evidence. Because sometimes when we have a dream and we feel it so profoundly and deeply and we're excited, and we tend to want to share that with those closest to us. If they're not in the same belief bubble, so to speak, or belief, that excitement, they can easily say something that shuts down what we really want to create. So I encourage you to nurture your dream in love and in quietness of your own mind and with the universe, until it starts to really unfold, and people will take note on their own, but it can really help to incubate your dreams that are different from what your family has experienced or done or said, to really keep those things as if they're incubating, like a baby in an incubator that needs a certain temperature, and to regulate this within yourself. It's like birthing a baby in your desires, and to take that time to create. I have a friend that I can share my dreams with, and she's always going to support. It doesn't matter if it's not here yet. She's, oh, I see that. Yes, we're living that now. I'm so happy you are enjoying that now. So if you can find a person to stand in that space with you of things that aren't here yet in your life, but you desire them, they're being created, that can really help. And if you don't have that person, it's okay. It can just be you and the universe to nurture your dreams. And maybe have a journal. I have a journal and notes in my phone of positive manifestations of dreams that I have. So to really play with this and write them down, and have notes in your phone about the things, the little synchronicities that even happen, or the big ones that happen. So you can be reminded that life and source are backing you, behind you. Really, here every day, there is well-being flowing. And though we don't see it with our eyes per se, we can sense it in our bodies. And that's why a quieted mind is so important, to not outthink or overthink your way out of the solutions that are coming your way. Often it's just like a little feeling you have, a little inclination. That's your intuition to try this or go here, and to do those things, even when they don't make sense. That's how you start to change patterns and such. It's just really listening to that inner wisdom and guidance, wanting to bring you to those answers. Have you found that true in your life, Peter Michael?
I certainly have, and I love the simplicity that you bring forth about it. Sometimes it can be wrapped up in a lot of psychological speak. It's the simple things that are the most effective. As I've gone towards the ebbing phase in life, where the tide is going out, I'm not splashing around in the surf as a 30-year-old anymore. The tide is going out. It's given me more horizon thinking, and the architecture of the landscape has changed so much. What it's revealed is is looking for simplicity and complexity, because I think that there's an adjacency to both of them, but it's to pull out the simplicity, which I always find quite a challenge to do, because overthinking makes things complex sometimes, and I can rationalize myself into immobility where I'm just going round and round, but I'm not actually moving forward with anything.
I can give you something to help with that. When you're in that state, which it sounds like you know so well, you can identify it happening. It's important and can be helpful to say in that moment, even out loud if you can. Universe, source, whatever words resonate with you. I am overthinking this and I turn this over to you. Every detail. I'd submit every detail to you to handle, to take care of every minutia of this. I turn it over to help me. And you say it, you think it until you really feel like it's transmitted from you into the loving hands of source, where you've given it and you can breathe and trust and go about the rest of your day, knowing there are things being solved for us. There takes, since we live in a 3-dimensional world, there's some time for things to come into manifestation. And when we hand it over down to every detail and trust, you feel it like it's done. Then you go about what you can today. Maybe some of the things on your to-do list that delight you more, start with the more fun and easy ones. That's how you start to create a flow state. What's easy for me to start with today? That gets you in a momentum where the things that aren't as exciting to do, you just flow into doing it. You have the momentum to go, and I'm just going to address that right now.
That's valuable advice. I always look for the depth. I'm never happy with the surface level of things, because I get the feeling there's so much more to a particular subject like what we're discussing. I've got a ton of things that I had thought about and notes that I've scratched into my tablet.
And I feel like those notes you have, Peter Michael, could easily be a book for you or something you offer. So, like, I would say take those notes and see if that is something you want to publish and put out in a thoughtful and intentional way so that you give those thoughts voice.
You're the second person that said that to me.
Does it feel true?
It does. Sometimes I have an issue with structure. I can take this subject of Chiron and I'll get 100 things from it that will just come into my mind about it. And it's like, okay, how do I organize all of these things so I can propel and humanize them into form that can be received in such a way that people go, oh yeah, I can hang my hat on that. I'm trying to take something in my mind that has a sense of irrationality about it, but trying to get a rational title.
So I think for you, Peter Michael, I learned this from Deepak Chopra. It's a way he starts new books, and he's written so many. And I think for you, get a poster board, because a page isn't going to be big enough, and put Chiron in the center and draw a circle and then draw a spoke out to all of these ideas. And you circle that. So the centering topic is Chiron. And then you have all these lines going out to other circles. And then the topics flow under that. And that can even become your chapters. And then take your time. It took me 3 years to research and write my book, but I love Deepak's process of having a centering idea, and then the spokes come out to those ideas you just mentioned. Then you fill in under those ideas, more thought and things that you research, and you'll have time to organize it throughout the process. But I think that's a beautiful way for you to start with what you already have and feel like there's an organizational system happening as you're sketching it out. That would really work for you, that work for your mind.
That's really good. I can download, I can let it go, almost like throwing off a heavy old winter coat.
And it allows more ideas to flow. You're not just holding on to them, feeling like you're going to forget. You're putting them somewhere that even you can look at if it's a big poster board, and you can just add to underneath the spokes and the circle, add the ideas, and eventually it becomes what you start typing up and creating chapters. Again, you can move and reorganize. You don't need to have it precise at first. It's getting it out and down so you can look at it and start to allow the information to keep flowing through you. And it feels really good to be in that kind of practice.
I tend to look at things from different viewpoints. So if I'm looking at astrology, I'm looking at it from the human view, the material view, the ethical view, the universal view, the creation view, because I see that there are different strata and strands that make up this whole rolling ball of enigma. So I think the board thing would really help me
The
out.
board thing, yeah, and would help me. And I would do this process when I write another book is to really make that time because it takes time. Sit down with your notes, with your thoughts. I found that if I would tell friends or even tell myself, I'm going to take 3 hours to write Monday evening, I was so easily swayed away from that. It never happened. So instead, I'd put in my daily planner, I use a paper and pen planner with highlighters. I'd schedule, say, from 6 to 9 p.m. writing time. And when friends were like, hey, can you have dinner Monday? I'm like, no, I have clients. I didn't have any clients. I was writing. But by me saying it's a client, as if I'm meeting with somebody on FaceTime or Zoom or by phone, I really prioritize that time and I would show up. I'd come to my computer. And even if I didn't type or write anything new, I'd review what I had written and I'd edit and I'd take a topic and I'd go research and maybe find a source to put in my index. So I'd always use that time and I'd schedule a couple blocks a week, at least for several years. And people thought I'm seeing all these clients. I was writing my book and it really helped me prioritize and legitimize that time for me to show up for it like I would for a client. So I really encourage you to find a process like that. It's okay to tell lies in air quotes like that. I'm seeing a client, I'm X, Y, and Z so that you can write. So this thing can manifest through you. I knew that Chiron wanted to come through me. I felt it so strong. I felt it almost like a burden, almost 3 years. Like if you don't write this, someone else will, but it wasn't fearful. It was like a desire. Like I want to be the one to take psychotherapy and combine it with astrology, hence psychoastrology, and really help people understand the meaning of Chiron as far as revealing an area of vulnerability that we typically feel ashamed of or less than. And it's through really looking at that deep need that we have that Chiron reveals and start giving ourselves that need, giving it expression, giving ourselves that love, that gentleness, that encouragement. That's when the transformation happens and we start to feel happier. Like the correlation is the natural byproduct is happiness and peace. That's when our health starts to get better and our finances start to get better and our relationships start to get better because we're in a state of peace and joy and even neutrality. And that's when our lives start to change. I wanted all that to come through me. So I used the system of saying I had clients when it was my writing time. And I always showed up, even to edit, even to do something for my book. It doesn't mean you're always writing new material, but it was something for the book that I would just show up for. And it happened.
It's the feeling of being on universal camera and responding to a subpoena. I feel I have all the jigsaw pieces, but I don't have the cover of the box. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't even know what the title is.
Title didn't come till after the whole book was done. That's like the last thing you do.
Right.
And again, you just start. The universe is here to bring you every piece of information. And I think the obstacle is feeling like it needs to be organized. That comes last. It's about getting it out in a document. It doesn't even have to have chapters yet. It's all out and you'll start to see where to cut and paste and where to move things. And you'll find the organization once you just get it out of your head and onto something that you can look at. And then the universe can bring you more. Because right now I sense you're at max capacity to hold on to it all. There's no need to hold it like that. Release it and get it down and out on something so it can flow. And again, 3 years, like, do you know how long 3 years feels? Like I sat with this. There's no rush. It came through me. It happens when you show up for the one writing session and do that consistently, maybe once or twice a week to start and just show up. Even if it's an hour, you want to make this achievable where you have the bandwidth. And I added the longer writing blocks more towards the end where there was more material to edit and go through and play with and cut and paste here and cut and paste there and have the notes out. So again, let it be like a joyful starting that I'm actually doing this and see where it leads.
Wow, you're giving me a masterclass in this, aren't you?
Yeah, and even Jack Canfield, who wrote, I believe it's Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's one of the best quotes I've read. I don't know that it was in this book, but it was in one of his quotes. He said about how, say, if you're driving from California to New York at night, you can't see. It's dark. You can only see as far as the headlights beam, and that's approximately 200 feet. But we get in our cars and we know we're going to make it. to our destination just seeing 200 feet at a time. We don't freak out and not go because you can't see everything. You trust that the highway is there, that you're going to see 200 feet at a time. And this is the exact same thing, as is life. We're seeing maybe 200 feet of our path, and you still get out there and step and walk on it. You're going to see the rest as you need to. Don't let that be an obstacle. And I love that quote has come up to me like thousands of times. I'm just seeing 200 feet of my path. Keep going. You would never not drive somewhere because you couldn't see the road. You know it's there. So in the same way, allow your life to unfold like that.
Every step you take eventually climbs the mountain.
Yeah.
But not every step is equivalent.
But I think you want to bring ease
I know.
to this. You don't want to overthrow mountains where there's no mountains. It's just a path.
Yeah.
It's just a path. And I think the more you can get excited about your path, even like curious, like I'm curious where this leads, versus it has to be this end. Get curious about what this information wants to come through me about. Curiosity is exciting.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about it. I feel this tapping, this voice almost whispering in my ear and making a vibration in my mind. Although I can measure, I can feel it, but I want to give it interpretation.
Yes.
There's a distinction between the measurement of it and the interpretation of it. That's been part of my struggle to say, okay, but how do I interpret all these things?
Well, you're bored today and start it. I want to see you do that. You're going to feel so good.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Peter Michael. That means so much.
It's like you carry the seed. It's like a micro-coded compact essence where you're saying, here's the soil you can cultivate with this seed for human skills to take root. And then it can start to blossom. All you got to do is plant that seed. I feel we have this inner potency.
Thank you for that. I received that.
I don't feel it's been a podcast about you. It's been about me.
It's both of us. I like mutual conversation. It's a conversation that is meaningful for others because I feel like a lot of you listening see yourself in our conversation. So take the insights and awarenesses and move with it in your life today.
It's been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for your message of hope and empowerment. And I feel the Chiron effect, even though we haven't done a very deep dive into it, but I'm obviously aware of time here. But if we do have these core wounds, and as you alluded to, through empathy, forgiveness, and self-awareness, we have the power to heal and embrace our authentic selves. I think probably healing is a bit like baking a cake. Patience is key.
Yeah, and I wanted people that have the experience of healing rather than the intellectual banter about it. You can get everything you need in my book and elsewhere, but it's about this experience of transformation that I wanted to impart today. That's more meaningful than just an intellectual knowing. We want to have the embodied experience of healing and transformation. So that's what I sought to do today with you.
That's beautiful. It invites me to become a planet in the solar system of my own life, where I'm fully committing myself to the transformational process by recognizing the core wounds that we gain to repattern, align with our authentic selves. Ultimately, we're fostering empathy and compassion and that sense of unity with others.
Yeah.
I see this as a guiding light on the path to understanding and transformation.
Yes.
So where can people find you? Where can people buy your book?
My book is available everywhere books are sold, Amazon. If your local bookseller is a place you patronize, a brick and mortar, just bring in my book title and they can order it for you. I am at NOLA.therapy.com, NOLA. It stands for New Orleans, Los Angeles, therapy, THERAPY.com. And on Instagram at NOLA Therapy. I'd love to connect with you. Message me. Lisa at NOLAtherapy.com is my email. Thank you for this time, Peter Michael. It's a delight to see you.
It's great to see you too, Lisa. And please come back anytime.
Thank you. I'm going to have you on when your book is out. So I'm excited for that.
Thank you so much for the encouragement and for those suggestions.
You're welcome.
How have you experienced the conversation today?
It's beautiful, very meaningful for me. I feel uplifted and peaceful to continue my morning. Thank you.